limit, man. Okay, calm down.
Tell us your thoughts on Lula, because there's a whole debate on the left right now about how much of a leftist he is, whether he's a real leftist. Someone in the comments earlier on was like, he's a WEF guy, World Economic Forum guy. One World Economic Forum guy beats the other World Economic Forum guy, as if he and Bolsonaro are like not distinguishable. So what say ye to all of these?
Yeah, well, I remember when on the election night, and we were, informing, reporting on the elections, we were getting loads of like quote tweets and replies with like a screenshot of a supposed profile of Lula's on the World Economic Forum website, because of the fact he's a president. He's an ex-president. It doesn't mean he's part of a leader of the World Economic Forum. But Lula is definitely an interesting figure, because he himself defines as a socialist, and he ran. Part of his campaign was the participation of the Communist Party of Brazil. So he has that alliance with parties to his left, and he's happy to associate with them, happy to be on a platform with them, and bring elements of those groups as well into government. But he's also willing to work with some of those to his right. So his vice presidential candidate, Alkim, is someone from essentially a centrist party. Some even say centre-right. So he's managed to reach across all the different tendencies and bring together a coalition that could beat Bolsonaro. And I'd say, a not insignificant chunk of his vote will be people who maybe don't identify as left, but who hate Bolsonaro more than they do socialism, let's say. So that, I think, was an important part of his victory, that we've just seen. But there's a lot of important points of his agenda that will have an incredibly serious impact on the Latin American left, because Lula is someone, as we know from his first term in power, someone that does believe in Latin American unity, does believe in working with the other left-wing governments in Latin America, including Venezuela, Cuba, etc. Of course, Brazil, Bolivia, that's where I'm talking to you from. We share a border with Brazil, a very large border. And there's been a number of, relations have broken down in a big way during Bolsonaro's time in power. And to the point where Bolsonaro, for example, was a big factor in the coup in Bolivia in 2019. And there's lots of people of the former regime that are hiding in Brazil still. So re-establishing those relations with countries like Bolivia, countries like Argentina, where basically, two of the biggest countries in Latin America who weren't speaking to each other this whole time now are going to have an extremely close relationship. We actually, the first leader to visit Lula was the president of Argentina, Alberto Fernandez. I think we actually posted about this. I'm going to put this in a private chat. I don't know if this can be pulled up, but it just shows the importance of this election for Latin America, and the future of economic integration as well. Obviously, Brazil is it's the largest economy in Latin America, one of the most important economies in the world, and the fact that it is now joining the vision of Latin American economic integration is incredibly important. And Lula even during the campaign hinted that he believes in creating a Latin American currency, a currency that can compete with the dollar and other international currencies, which is incredibly important because for a lot of countries, they're at the mercy of dollar. They're dollarized in some cases, or they are, have currencies pegged to the dollar. And to have trade done in Latin American currency rather than dollars, that was a proposal of Lula during the campaign. I think we've just published an article as well from Andrés Arauz, the former presidential candidate in Ecuador, talking about how this needs to happen. This needs to happen as soon as possible, and explaining the ways in which that could happen. So yeah, I think this is an incredibly important turning point for Latin America.